Hello and welcome back, this is Giulia Hepburn and today is another walk and talk with the 23mm 1.4. This lens is a really challenge for me, but you know what I like? Challenges. And I think more I'm using this lens, more I can appreciate it. Today I'm going to start using aperture priority. This is something that I normally don't do because I don't know. First, this is my very honest opinion. I generally like to shoot everything in manual, like I really don't mind to switch all the settings manually, and it's a little bit weird to rely on this system for me personally, but I really understand why a lot of street photographers really like to use it, because in situations where the light doesn't change that much, to be honest, it works. So at the very beginning of my walking, I use aperture priority, but after a little while I had to switch again to manual because the majority of the picture basically came out quite blurry, and I always have issues when the picture come blurry, and I'm like, oh my god, am I really shooting properly or am I not? So at least in manual I can blame myself completely, like what I've done, why I didn't do this and that. But with the aperture priority I was like, okay, yeah, the aperture is right, but I cannot control the shutter speed and the other stuff. Let me know what is like the system that you normally prefer to use while you're doing your street photography, if you have any suggestion and stuff, because I'm really open to listen everything. I think from one side I have not decided yet what is my favorite way to shoot. I think like manual is my favorite way to shoot, but I don't know, I always find that nothing is really sharp enough, and I don't know if it's an issue of the focus or me, like because I'm not pointing properly. I forgot to tell you that I'm shooting from the hip, so I using basically two things that are making my life a little bit more complicated. First, shooting from the hip, and second, a 23mm. So because these let's say, because these two things are different and very far from what I normally use to shoot, I guess the practice is really the way to learn how to deal with this. Also, because like my fashion photography side is like being sharp and like being in control of everything, the fact that I don't really look what I'm shooting, like I look with my eyes and then with my body I'm trying to point in basically where I want to catch the picture, is a little bit weird. I think I'm putting myself in a difficult situation, in the most difficult situation possible, to then come to a more easy approach. I personally really like putting the camera very close to my eyes. I really want to have this type of control. But the main but in street photography is like, if people see me in that way, they will like, hello you, why are you taking a picture of me? And I really understand, like I know how intimidating could be a camera, and a lot of people maybe they don't want to have like a camera pointing on their face. And shooting from the hip is a great way to avoid that. Also, basically because I'm putting on my chest the action camera, a lot of people basically look at there, and so sometimes they look basically almost in camera, but not always, and I think it works. Yeah, this is what I'm trying to deal during these days. I'm basically, you know what, like I'm so used to use the 35mm, and switching to the 23 was a big switch personally, and I really need just to try again to find the sweet spot where picture looks like sharp, and I can achieve what I wanted. Going back to the video, I didn't explain anything about the picture that we just saw before, sorry about that. In this area, I started noticing that the focus was not basically going as I wanted. I was still in aperture priority. And I didn't include a few pictures that I shot here because they were very blurry, like they're like unusable and terrible, so no thanks. And at some point I decided to basically switch completely to manual. You will see from the settings that I'm gonna put under each picture. And this is a early morning, like I started shooting around 9:30 in central London, and 9:30-10. And of course, there were not a lot of people yet. I think there were the majority, they were tourists. So the street was still quiet, and from one side I really appreciate it because it gave me the time to warm it up and to basically walk all around the city center. But on the other side, I wish there were a little bit more movement, but that's fine. I guess it's a good reason to go another time, of course, to use more and more this lens. On this point, actually, you can see this is like the type of picture that I really like to shoot, like places that look abandoned and are like in without no many people, or actually no one. And this type of images that for the majority of the people, I guess they gave anxiety, for me are really calming. It's just like a breath of relaxation. It's just like there's no chaos here, and it's just the humanity, and then you can imagine each story that could happen. But the more I use this lens, more I really understand why people really love it. And yes, when a picture came good, it seems that you are very into the action. And I remember a long time ago, actually, I was at a portfolio review, and the person that was reviewing my portfolio was like the street picture that you're showing me, they are working, but it's very visible that you are not going closer to your subject. And this is actually absolutely true. And I guess because before I normally use much bigger cameras and bigger lenses. Right now I have a camera that is quite tiny, the Fujifilm X-T5, and a lens that again is not massive, and I'm just walking. I think I look more confident from one side because I got my headphones. It seems that I'm looking around, but I'm not really looking around. I'm looking to the subject somehow. So I look less anxious, maybe less creepy, because I'm more conscious of what I am doing it. And even if I still think that the zoom lenses could be something that is more close to what I would like to do, so from a certain distance I can shoot and that's it, everybody's happy. Be more into the action with these wide lenses is actually very interesting. I thought I would never be able to shoot people that close, to be honest, without not looking in the camera, not looking in the viewfinder, but now I can do it, and that's insane for me. Like normally when I start this session of walking and with the camera, at the very beginning I'm like, oh my god, I don't think nothing is fine. Like I'm very conscious. I like that the focus is unfocused, that I don't think the composition is great, but I really think it's part of the process, because when I come back home and I review everything that I shot, I'm like, oh, okay, actually there's something that could work, that's something that is usable somehow, or oh, look at this like point of view, it's quite interesting. So the reviewing after the shooting, I think, is absolutely fundamental, and because it gives me a better perspective also of the behavior that I use during the street. And yeah, so I'm guessing like there's always so much to learn in photography. You think maybe you know stuff, but guess what? You don't, because there's always something that you cannot control, and the fact like changing lenses, for example, or giving yourself challenges can give you totally different perspective in what are you doing and what is your photography about. In this period of my life, I think I'm rediscovering again the camera and the lens as well. And it's interesting and scary at the same time, because like the camera is like, oh, new setting, I need to do this and that, and because they need to work with this lens that is different from this other lens. And I found it very interesting, and as I say, a little bit scary, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm doing everything wrong. Oh, what a disaster, what a waste of time. This is normally my main thinking while I'm shooting. The first 40 minutes are like, oh my god, that's not very good. Why I decided to do that? But then more I go and more I push myself, I'm like, okay, that's something here. That's happening. I don't know if this happened to you as well, so please let me know. Let me know if I'm alone or if you're like also living this type of situation. During this session also, I decided to not focus on something very specific, like not shadows, for example, or pattern. I just really want to walk, and I want to walk and shoot like people, interesting people, like learn how to use better the 23mm, how to shoot on the hip, what was the sweet spot to have like sharp images, if I need to put the camera in a certain angle or not. I have so many questions. And yes, so that was basically the challenge of today. And I think I shoot some interesting shots, especially during you will see at the end of the video. At the beginning, as usual, I think this happened to everyone. I really needed to warm it up, also to take my space in the street and to find the right balance to shoot everything, I guess. Sharing with you another interesting fact of the past. So normally in the past I used to shoot people only basically from the back, or if I was far with my zoom, I can zoom in, fantastic. And I was very happy, but from one other side, I remember that I was also frustrating because I wanted to shoot them and see their faces and be closer, and not like basically doing a digital cropping to be more close to the subject, so in post-production. While now, this is the first thing that I noticed, I can actually be much closer. And the fact like, oh my god, I am too close, is coming a little bit, this feeling of being scared of being too close to people is going a little bit far away. I guess because I'm not pointing the camera directly to them, so they don't see me pointing to them. So there is still this kind of separation between the fact that they know they're gonna be on a picture and the fact they can guess. The guessing part I found it very interesting, because you can see from some of the images where they're looking at the camera and it's like, what's going on? And in the other where they are completely unaware and I'm just an observer of the city, basically. One of my main questions is like, maybe I'm too low, maybe I'm moving a lot, because I don't know if you can perceive from the video, but basically when I'm shooting I'm still walking and the people are walking towards me normally, so there's so much going on to consider in terms of shutter speed. And I guess my next way to do it is to actually stop and maybe stay still in a place and try to shoot in that way. It's again something that is very far from the way that I normally like to shoot, because I really prefer just to be on the go. Don't like wait normally, and I just really want to catch the moment. And yeah, I guess also is where my fashion photography again come against the street photography mentality, because like I really like stuff that are quite polished normally in commercial and fashion, while in street there's so much going on. And yeah, I still need like to basically switch my brain. In this part I decided to try to play also more with movement. I didn't have with me ND filter, so I have to find a balance to do what I wanted. And luckily for me, there was a bus. So I really wanted to shoot like the Bansky boost from one of his artwork in the shop window, and with the people walking, but it was not really happening without the ND filter. But with the bus I've obtained something that was more visually interesting, I think, even if there's my figure reflected, but I think it's fine. I always like experiment with this type of movement, and again because I'm aware about what I'm doing, so about my shutter speed, I'm very happy even if the picture is not that polished. I think what is bothering me is when I think I shot an amazing picture here, let me look at it, and then everything is blurry. It's like, oh no, damn, what's going on? Why my life is like that? But I think like that's normal and that's okay. It's just part of the process. I think this time during this session, because I photograph more people, I got different types of vibe, like also funny one. I think like these two ladies walking wearing they were having a funny expression. Also before, the lady with the coffee was an interesting expression, as well as people more like just walking normally, just taking care of their life. Finally, I think we are coming to my favorite picture, that is this one. Basically, I noticed just when I started the editing actually what was really happening, because my main focus was on the girl on the shop window, to be honest, because she was very pretty in the light there, was amazing. I really liked the vibe of the entire situation. And then when I look at the picture again, I saw there was a guy here under this white scarf, square. I didn't really notice it before, but I think it's very, like, composition wise, thanks, like, random moment, because this white line is covering the eye, so I think it's perfect. And that is one of my favorite pictures that I shot during the day. So we are almost at the end of my walking. Basically, I did a big circle between Oxford Circus, Carnaby Street, Soho, and Tottenham Court Road, and coming back. Finally, there were more people around, but I gave myself like around 2 hours to shoot, and I was almost at the end of my day. And yeah, so the session, I think this session has some interesting shots. Honestly, I think I still need to practice more with this lens, because it has so much potential, and I think I need to improve my skills, to be honest, in the setting of the camera and how I'm pointing. But finally, I think we are going into some kind of direction. And shooting with people compared to shooting like objects or like streets without no people is completely different, and the experience will be completely different if you use this type of lens as well. And for obvious reason, of course, will be different, but I think like is an amazing lens if you're doing this type of photography where you just walk around and you want to catch the vibe of the city, the people that are living in the city. I think it's really, really a great lens. I'm wondering if I can achieve something similar with the 35mm, but these months I'm in my 23mm exercise. So let's see. I guess you're gonna see a lot more videos with this lens in the future, so be prepared. Meanwhile, thank you for watching. If you haven't done it yet, please subscribe, because it's gonna help this channel to grow. And I'm always happy to read your comments, and see you next time. Bye bye and ciao.